Whether it's whipping up these amazing images from just a few words or writing code that builds an entire app, AI is literally everywhere. And honestly, it feels a bit like magic. But have you ever really stopped and thought about what's actually going on behind the curtain? Well, today we're going to pull that curtain back. Let's get into it. See, here's the thing. Pretty much everyone is talking about AI, right? Everyone's using it. But almost nobody knows how it's really built. So let me ask you straight up. When you type in that prompt and hit enter, do you have any idea what's happening in that split second before the answer pops up? For most people, it's just so simple. You put a prompt in and an answer comes out. It really does feel like magic. You type in a question and bam! A second later, this perfect, polished answer just appears on your screen. It's so smooth, so easy, that you almost never think about the massive, complex universe that's humming away just under the surface. But let's be super clear about something. Using AI and building AI, well, they're not even in the same ballpark. They are two completely different worlds. On one hand, you've got the simple act of typing a prompt. Easy enough. But on the other hand, you have engineers who are designing and running one of the most ridiculously complex technologies humanity has ever created. The difference is just huge. All right, so let's do it. Let's peek behind that simple prompt and see what's really happening. So what is happening when you ask it to do something? Whether you're asking it to write an email for you or create some cool new artwork, it looks totally effortless, right? But what you're seeing, that one single response, is actually the end result of this gigantic, incredibly intricate operation that is just firing on all cylinders. And we can actually break this whole thing down into 4 key components, 4 fundamental pillars. You can think of these as the high-tech engine room that's powering every single one of those AI interactions. Okay, pillar number 1, data. This is the fuel for the whole machine. Without data, AI is just nothing. To learn anything, these models have to be fed insane amounts of information. And when I say insane, I mean it. We're talking about a data set that could include the entirety of Wikipedia, millions and millions of books, and a giant chunk of the public internet. It's just a mind-boggling amount of fuel. All right, next up, pillar 2, the models. This is basically the brain of the whole operation. Think of a model like a digital brain, a complex web of connections, kind of like a neural network. Engineers then use these really sophisticated algorithms to train the model. It's almost like teaching a kid how to recognize patterns, see how ideas connect, and then make educated guesses. And just so we're clear, this training process isn't like a quick software update. No way. We are talking about months of nonstop 24/7 processing just to build one of these advanced models. It is a massive, massive investment of both time and energy. So, pillar number 3, computing power. And this one's huge. All that training, all that learning, it takes a staggering amount of raw power. And we are not talking about your home computer here. AI models run on literally thousands of specialized chips. You've probably heard of them, GPUs, graphics processing units. These things are workhorses built to crunch millions of complex calculations. And they live inside these enormous data centers. The ones run by giants like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. So how much power are we talking about? Billions. These systems are chewing through billions of calculations. Not per day, not per hour. Every single second. It's just wild. And that brings us to our 4th and final pillar, integration. Because look, AI is so much more than just a chatbot you can talk to. The real magic, the real game changer is when this powerful technology gets woven into everything else. You see it all the time. When Amazon recommends a product or Netflix suggests a movie. Yep, that's AI working behind the scenes. And it's not just retail, it's everywhere. In healthcare, it's helping with diagnostic tools. In finance, it's detecting fraud almost instantly. Security teams are using it to analyze threats, and in IT, it's automating all sorts of complex systems. This is where AI stops being a novelty and starts becoming truly transformative. Okay, so all of this, it brings us back to that really important difference we talked about earlier, the gap between just using AI and actually building it. And this is where a huge skills gap is starting to open up. Just look at the difference here. The scale is just mind-blowing. You've got hundreds of millions, maybe even billions of people using AI every single day. But the number of people who can actually build and manage these systems, it's estimated to be only a few 100,000 in the entire world. That's a massive difference.
And that's because being a builder is a completely different skill set. It's not just about writing prompts. It's about configuring these super complex AI systems, training brand new models from scratch, deploying all the massive server infrastructure needed to run them, and then finally, plugging it all into a real business. It's the whole shebang.
So, this all leads to a really big question for all of us, looking forward. Who? Who is actually going to build the future?
Because here's the bottom line. The future isn't going to belong to people who just know how to use AI tools. It's going to belong to the people who truly understand how it works. The ones who get how it's fueled by data, how it's trained, how it's integrated into everything. Those people aren't just going to be living in the future, they're going to be the ones building it. So the next time you fire up an AI tool, just pause for a second. Think about that incredible engine humming away just beneath the surface. And maybe ask yourself a better question. Not just what can this do for me, but do I know how this is actually built? Do I understand how it's configured? Because that's the question that really matters.